It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by TheDartZone.com. Stay in the zone. TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Okay, welcome to Dart Talk.
Welcome.
Third episode of the year.
Yeah.
What's the date? January
The
something,
15th.
2014. Steve Penantelman with Mystery Mark, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Sorry for the delays, everybody. We played the Mark Fair Darren Young match.
Yes.
And Ustream updated their software and decided to lie to us and not record it. So I don't know what we're going to do. This is twice now in 12 hours I've tried to record a voiceover and failed miserably with two separate software packages. So I don't know. That's kind of freaky. Anyway, let's...
well, it's unfortunate.
We're going to run through this show awfully quick. The breaks will be short because we have a lot to get to. Let's do a quick disclaimer here somewhere.
The views, opinions, rants, and rampages expressed on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect individually or collectively those of our sponsors, co-sponsors, wannabe hosts, hearing-impaired critics, or those with a penchant for attitudinal dysfunction. We at Dart Talk strive to provide you, the listener, with an educational, entertaining, and fun-filled experience each and every week. If after the show you, the listener, find yourself feeling uneducated, unentertained, and or bored, we at Dart Talk consider that your own problem.
There you have it.
Okay. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Although what I've been posting lately apparently isn't. But so how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good. What'd you think of the match? The Darren Young.
It was entertaining. I thought it was good.
Our inaugural Players Challenge Series match.
I think they took it serious and they were competitive and they wanted to win and they both, they played well and Darren hit his doubles and bigger outs and
the 152
Mark
was
did not.
nice. Yeah, he had a 152. He had a 104. Mark had that 116 in the first leg. Trip 19, trip 19, double one.
Take the cursor off my nose. That's bugging me.
Is that bugging you?
Yeah.
Really? Sorry, man. Ustream updated their software and decided to break everything. So sorry for the delay in this show. I may just fire this thing and go back to the old one because none of it seems to work the way I want it to.
Are we sure this is even recording?
Oh, we should record the audio. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we got it all going on today. Anyway, there are going to be more matches, and we'll show you what we can. Streaming them on the fly, very difficult. We have to thank Ryan Davis of Ryan Davis Productions, who was kind enough to go to Philly and film that for us. We're going to have him on the show next week because he does some very interesting things with his league in Harrisburg, and he wanted to kind of share it with everybody. And that's one good thing about the show. Is we can kind of let people know what's going on in other parts of the country, and if it's something worthy of emulation, then by golly, emulate away.
Right.
Kind of the way we look at it. We have a lot to get to. We have results from the Ray Chesney Philadelphia Open. It's actually the Pennsylvania Open. I don't know who put Philadelphia there. We have an unpaid intern that, is worth every penny we pay.
Yes.
Anyway, it's the Ray Chesney Memorial Pennsylvania Open. We have results for that. Including youth results. The Q School had their first day today, which is kind of like let me run this by you. Now we talked about Lakeside last week, right? Stephen Bunting ended up winning. There were some great matches, and I do want to talk a little bit of Lakeside, but let me run this by you and tell me what you think. Now you've been following all this 180-day rule and 365 rule.
Right.
Here's what the BDO did to the people that were playing in the Lakeside tournament was the PDC set up their tour school to start today. And I think their registration deadline was like yesterday or Monday or something like that. So
Okay.
what Lakeside basically said was they made everybody say if and sign some sort of, because they're into waivers, apparently, the BDO.
Has to
Which
be
this
official.
organization, I don't know why anybody wants to have their logo associated with these people. But what they did was they basically said to the players, we're not going to pay you your prize money from this tournament until today. Because everyone that played in the tournament had to say that they weren't going to play in the PDC Tour School.
And if they did, then they would be
Well, here's the thing,
disqualified from the prize
because
money?
the tournament was over on Sunday,
Yeah.
right? And the tour school started today, so it would have been very easy for somebody to say, "Oh, sure, yeah, I won't play in the Q school, play in the tournament, and then turn right around and go play in the Q school," right?
Right.
Well, so they basically said, "Well, we're not going to pay you till Wednesday to make sure that you." Don't go in the. I've never heard of anything like this where
Aren't they
we're
legally obligated to pay him anyway?
I swear there must not be one barrister or solicitor in Britain that plays league darts,
Right.
because I can't imagine that they're not running to a courtroom right now saying you can't do this.
Yeah.
So, but again, it's like this is how the BDO runs things. So it was kind of funny because I was very curious about Christian Kiss. Now I don't know if you remember him. He was like from nowhere, an unseeded player, won Lakeside 2 years ago. Christian Kiss won. He beat Tony O'Shea in the final and beat him, pretty handily. Beat him like a drum. Played great. And the PDC offered the top 4 guys that year a tour card to go on the PDC tour. And I think Ted Hankey took it, and Christian Kiss said no. And Christian Kiss is a Dutch guy, and apparently the rumor I heard was he took the money and bought a house. And got married and, whatever. Great. So, but he's in there today playing in the Q school. And I'm kind of like thinking, well, you should have taken it 2
Yeah.
years ago when it was, you were in. Now you have to fight your way through 300 guys
Right.
who are like, I'm looking through these names, and it's just like the PGA Tour
Yeah,
school.
but maybe he took 2 years off.
Well, he got hurt. He hurt his elbow or something. I don't know. I don't know what he did, for 2 years. But the point I'm making is he had the in had he taken it. He didn't take it, and now he wants in. Is like poor planning on its face, right?
Right.
Like the PGA Tour school. Every year you see these like famous golfers that I just remember this nightmare with Chip Beck. Remember Chip Beck?
Yep, of
He's an
course.
Illinois guy. He was on like the Ryder Cup team and all this. He was a runner-up in the Masters and whatnot. This guy literally fell off the map. He did not have the game. And he was unlucky insofar as he's playing the game when the game changed. And all of a sudden you had to be a long hitter. So guys like Chip Beck and Corey Pavin, forget about it.
Right.
Right? Corey Pavin snuck in and, wins a tournament every 3 or 4 years, but Chip Beck didn't. And he had to go back to the tour school and qualify and couldn't make that and ended up selling his like big mansion in Lake Forest and all this and taking a club pro job. And I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
you don't hear that happening.
It's rough.
Well, it's the same thing, with the tour school. They got 300 guys, and I'm looking at famous darters that are, can't even get on the tour now. That's how hard it is to get on this thing. I mean, everybody's playing better.
Right.
The level of the game is rising every year. More and more people are putting more and more
Well,
time
it's gotta
into it.
be-
Young guys are coming up. I mean, you look at this kid, Michael Smith, that beat Phil Taylor. I mean, I wish I'd have taken up darts when I was 13 and didn't have a job where all I did was go to school and play darts instead of play basketball or whatever else I played. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you
And
do
you
now,
got a whole generation of these guys coming. I
Yeah.
mean, you're going to have to hold them off with a whip and a chair. And these older guys, I mean, every year with this tour school now, you're going to start seeing these guys like Peter Manley and Peter Evison, ex-world champion, like ex-number 2 in the world, whatever, finalist in the world championship. And these guys are like, now they have to qualify just to get on the tour where they can now be an unseeded player and meet, Michael Van Gerwen in the first round or what have you. I mean, it's a bloodbath. I checked on Sean Narain because, I thought he'd have a good shot at
Right.
it. He won his first match and lost to a very good player, 5-3, which is only one break, in, I think, the second round. and the guy that beat him, I think, fell 2 matches short. So Kevin Anderson, that guy who...
So out of 300, they take the top 4.
Yeah, but they do it like 4 straight days. So they end up taking like 16, and then they take... You get points for everything you finish, so after 4 days, they count up the points and they take more. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll have to look and see how many slots, they're going to fill. But 4 guys got in today, including this 20-year-old who played in Lakeside. Christian Kist played. He was playing in Lakeside, so I don't know. I mean, we'll kind of see what happens with, the BDO. I mean, it's not like they're going to make any grand announcement that they've come to their senses.
No.
Although I look every day, hopefully I'll check their website and see if there's like a headline. BDO comes to its senses, I mean,
finally. Wishful
nothing
thinking.
worse than somebody fighting a war that ended like 5 years ago. And, they're still like in there pitching. I mean, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Like 50 years after World War II, they find somebody in a cave who's still fighting the war and didn't get the memo. That's kind of what I think of the BDO sometimes. Or like the old building in the middle of downtown that they won't tear down and they won't fix up, and it just kind of sits there.
Everything else
and
is
it's
bigger
just like
all
this
around
eyesore,
Yeah.
and you have to build around it, and it just like ruins the entire neighborhood. Right?
That's the BDO.
Enough about the BDO. We'll take a real quick break. We'll come back. We got results from the Ray Chesney Pennsylvania Open. You're listening to Dart Talk with Steve Petanzielman and Mystery Mark. We'll be right back.
Dart Talk agrees to adhere to the Geneva Convention in treating fairly its prisoners in their war against lackluster darting administration and behaviour.
Okay, back for the second quarter, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. Throw a little plug in there for Ryan Davis, thanking him for filming the match we showed earlier, Darren Young and Mark Fair.
Yep.
And that was in Trevose, Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia, the Ray Chesney Memorial Pennsylvania Open. And we have results from that. Our unpaid intern came through, so let's run through those and give everybody their just due.
All right, we have the pro shoot to start. Top 8, Mark Fair, Chris White, Stowe Bunce, and Ray Carver. Your top 4 is Tom Sawyer and Gio Florian, with your runner-up Joe Cheney, and winner is Leonard Gates.
So Soldier starting the year right about where he left off. All right, nice.
Your blind draw, 501. Top 8, Kelly Gallagher, Greg Von Lena,
Okay.
Scott Henning, Emmy Rubio, Anthony Dambra, Stowe Bunce, Mark Franks, and Tom Conrad. Top 4, Rich McGraw, John Lagamba, Bob Shirley, Lim Demetrius. Your runner-up is Alan Johnson and Gino Florian. And your winner, Arnold, Joe Schultz, and Leonard Gates.
Okay, they're gonna saran wrap that dude to his hotel room pretty soon.
Leonard
Gates, if he
Leonard
keeps winning.
Soldier.
There's going to be ramifications. Congrats to all those people.
Men's doubles, 501. Top 8, Chris White, Ray Carver, P. Flegger. Do you know who the P is?
No.
A person.
A person.
It's just a person. A person is a winner, or a top 8. Mike Amina, Stan Savitsky. Is that right? Ben Amadoy.
Benny Amadai and Phil Soroka, top 8.
All right. Chuck Pankow, Bill Davis. See, those are easier. Colin Rath, Rich Dantine. Your runner-up, Joe Cheney, Shane Meeks. And your winner, Bob Sneeve, Ryan Vanderweet.
Okay, congrats to all those guys.
Your ladies' doubles 501. Top 8, Heather Farrell, Terry Marcello, Marsha Locke, Marilyn Pop, Doreen Sweeney, Holly Frary, Trish Gressick, and Marliese Keel. Top 4, Paula Murphy, Christy David, Amy DeBrune, and Ann Kramer. Runner-up, Better Cunningham. Really?
The better half. I believe that's Betty.
I know. It's Betty Cunningham, Glory Gutierrez. See, now everybody can actually see the texts that I get.
Yeah, I thought that would be helpful. So everybody knows that unpaid interns don't know how to spell check.
I think Betty might be happy that she's called the Better Cunningham.
Better Cunningham? Yeah. That's a nice nickname
with
for her.
Gloria Gutierrez. And your winner is Callie West and Robin Curry.
Whisper Twins. All right. Nice.
Your men's singles cricket top 8 goes to Mark Lavosi.
Mark Lavosi. Do you know that name?
No.
Mark Lavosi did the logo for our show.
Did he?
Big Mark.
for him.
All right. Way to go, Big Mark.
David Kiosian.
Kiosian.
Pat Jurison and Larry Butler.
I think it's Butler.
Leonard Gates, Benny Amendoy, top 4.
Benny Amadai. Okay.
Amadai.
Wow, Leonard Gates didn't win something.
Yeah.
All right.
Alex Reyes is your runner-up, and your winner is Gary Mawson.
Nice. Okay. And so a lot of these guys, I was texting with Alex Reyes. He's joining the Players Challenge Series. He's going to play Donnie Joe in Dallas. So that's a new match we just added today.
Oh, okay.
Just a little bit of an aside there.
Your ladies singles cricket top 8. Kelly West, Amy DeBrune, Marliese Keel, Doreen Sweeney. Top 4, Leah Amato and Marilyn Pop. And Kate Hoover, your runner-up, with your winner, Paula Murphy.
Nice. Okay. Congrats to all of them. Good to see Paula getting out and playing well.
Now we got some mixed triples, 601.
Fun event. It's always a fun event.
Top 8, Joe Cheney, Shane Meeks, Marilyn Pop, Larry Butler, Leonard Gates, Christy Davis, Tom Sawyer, Tom Curtin, Trish Gressick, David Casion, Dave DeBurn, Terry Marcello for your top 8. Your top 4, Paul Radash, Kevin Finnegan, Brenda F., John Lagamba, Daniela Lagamba, Mark Lavosi. Your runner-ups, Gordon Dixon, DJ Sayer, Marliese Keel, with your winners, Jim Widmeyer, Stowe Bunce, and Paula Murphy.
Interesting pairings. Okay, congrats to all those guys. That's a fun event. That it's like on Saturday. People let their hair down a little bit, but it's still serious, serious play. Always like that event.
Next is your blind draw. 501-301 cricket. Top 8, Jerry Williamson, Joe Cheney, Eric Pavernick, Chuck Dixon, Toby Simcoe, Bob McCurdy, Danny Albanaso, and David Kiosian.
You've said it 3 different ways. I'd stay with that one.
Anyway.
Okay.
Am I close?
Yeah.
Top 4, Mark Fair, Ray Stolf Jr., Pat Jurison, and Allison Russell.
Pat Jurison, another addition to the Players Challenge Series. He'll be playing in Youngstown, I believe. We added that one the other day.
All right. And then your runner-up is Travis Newton and Alex Reyes with your winners, Andrew Van Coverden and Bob Miskey.
Very good. Yeah, 2 good players. It's funny, there's a Players Challenge Series match. We'll preview those later in the show, but there's one in Long Island this weekend, and there's a lot of guys won in, and talented players. We're going to have to, make sure we have room for everybody next year. So congrats to Andrew and Bob there.
And next up is your men's doubles cricket with your top 8, Walt Hicks, Rick Trustance, Joe Cheney, Shane Meeks, Alex Reyes, John Lackey, Larry Butler, Leonard Gates. Top 4, Chuck Pankow, Joel Sliven, Ryan Vanderweet, and Bob Sneeve.
That's got to be one of the funniest pairings to hang out with. Chuck Pankow and Joe Sliven.
Really?
2 of the funniest guys on the tour. Yeah, that looks like it'd be a lot of fun.
Obviously, Tom Curtin and Tom Sawyer are your runners-up.
Tom. All right, Tom Curtin back on the circuit. Nice.
And your winner, Darren Young and Dan Olson.
Okay, D&D.
First time
TNT.
saying Darren Young's name.
Yeah, so I guess we didn't jinx him, at least in this event, right? Okay.
Next event is the women's doubles cricket. Your top 8 is Kim Weisberg, Melissa Kokos, Shawnee Cuthbert, Kate Albright, Callie West, Robin Curry, Ashley Talbot, and Janice McCurdy. Top 4 goes to, they got it right this time, Betty Cunningham, Gloria Gutierrez with Britt Jasinski and Lauren Ann.
We should call her Better, just to annoy
That's
her
her new
husband.
nickname.
Her husband plays.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Can we have Better Cunningham? I think that'd be funny.
Lauren Ann, it looks like they forgot her last name.
Well, maybe her last name is Ann.
I think it is, but I'm just saying. It's what it perceives.
Unpaid interns, man. They're the best.
Runner-up, Kathy Salway and Kay Hoover, and your winners are Marlies Keel and Trish Gressick.
Okay, congrats to all those ladies. We almost done?
I think
What
so.
do we got here? What's left?
Women's singles 501.
All right.
Melinda Mannion, Robin Curry, Kelly Gallagher, Lauren Ann for top 8. Top 4, Holly Ferrari, Gloria Gutierrez. Runner-up, Kelly West, and your winner is Kay Hoover.
All right, congrats to all them.
Men's singles 501. Leonard Gates, Kevin Zippo, Bob Miskey, and Greg Van Leinen for your top 8. Tom Curtin, Joe Pierce for top 4. Your runner-up, Gordon Dixon, and your winner is Larry Butler.
Larry Butler. Hi, congrats to all those guys. Don't show the MVP. I don't do MVPs.
Well,
we don't do MVPs anymore.
I didn't know it was there.
All right, but we also have youth events, right? You got the youth events? Can you cue that one up? It's always good to include the Utes.
And here they are, youth events 12 and under. Runner-up, James Butler. Jacob Demers for your winner of the 12 and under.
Youth singles 12 and under.
Singles.
Okay.
Youth adult 12 and under. Larry and James Butler with Josh Demers and Levi Remick winning that. Your youth adult winner plus 13, Ryan Young and Tom Curtin. And that's it.
13 and over, youth adult, Ryan Young and Tom Curtin. So they didn't give us a runner-up?
No.
Okay. Well, hopefully they weren't the only
just a
two
winner.
people there.
There are only 2 people that signed up.
All right, so those are the results from the Ray Chesney Memorial Pennsylvania Open.
Correct.
As promised. Where are we? Should we take? See, we don't even have a time meter on this anymore.
Yeah, no, it's
this. Oh, it's up there. Okay.
Oh,
well,
okay.
I can't even read that.
It's like 22 something. I barely see it.
I'm ripping this software out. I'm ripping it up, and I'm going back to the old one. Okay, that was pretty funny in the chat room.
Yeah.
About the suction. Glad we didn't say it on air. All right, we'll take a real quick break, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mystery Mark, Steve Panunciamo, and we'll be right back.
You are now and forevermore warned that you consume this show at your own risk, and that Dart Talk cannot be brought to justice in any court or by any government, including and not restricted to the grand spaghetti monster of the Triple 20.
Okay, back for the second half, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. And where are we? What are we doing? What are we talking about here?
We need to preview the 3 Players Challenge events coming up this week. There's 3 this weekend,
3
right?
this weekend.
Right.
And they're actually, good matches. And we'll see, it's going to be, tough for the players to actually perform and do the coordination with the tournament directors and get somebody to get the stats and get somebody to chalk and all this stuff. So it's going to be a challenge, but we'll see how it works out. But there's 3 tournaments in 3 different places this weekend, and we're going to have absolutely fascinating matchups, which is one of the things I like about this is, the matchups are all kind of regionally based. So at the AeroCap Open in Wichita, Kansas.
Wichita, Kansas.
Want to go to Wichita this weekend? I hear it's only like an 8-hour drive. Is that true?
Oh, I don't know. I've never been to Wichita, so I couldn't tell
I think you go to St. Louis and you turn right.
Okay.
And you just kind of keep driving.
Yeah.
No, it's Conley Litton, who's a talented player, been around, played. I think he came up playing soft tip, but plays predominantly steel now. Used to live, I think, like around Kansas City or something, and moved to Waco. Is going to be in Wichita playing Elliot Milk, who lives in Dakota. I don't know which one.
Yeah.
Does it matter?
No.
I always say Carolina, and I figure I can't be wrong. And I don't know if North Carolinians are offended that you include South Carolina or vice
I think
versa.
they are,
but
probably.
It's like, yeah, I live in the Great Lakes. Doesn't really say much. No, but that's a fascinating matchup. I mean, Elliott and Conley both have some pretty big scalps to their credit over the last few years. I know Conley's been, he's always, top 4, top 8 in the nationals and stuff like that. Elliott always qualifies. I don't know how much soft tip Elliott's been playing. I know he knocked out Soldier in like one of the Darts Live America's Tour events last year. 2 great players that I have not seen play in a while. So, maybe we'll get some video from those guys. They're going to be playing, in Wichita. And again, all
What's
these
the
matches.
tournament in Wichita?
The AirCap Open.
The AirCap. Well, you did say that. I'm sorry.
I did say that.
Yes.
And I don't know quite if that's a Cessna thing or what.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's in Wichita. I've never been.
I don't know.
I don't think I've ever set foot in Kansas.
Yeah.
And it's funny, too. I've set foot in almost every state in America. And if it wasn't for darts, I mean, I wouldn't even be close to it. All right, so that's Kansas. And then what else? Okay, the Foothills Fling. Yeah, the Foothills Fling in Greenville, South Carolina.
Not North Carolina.
No, it's it's
not just you. You don't say just Greenville, Carolina.
If you addressed a postcard to Greenville, Carolina, and included the zip code, I'm sure.
I bet it would get there. Sure.
But anyway, no, I have it on good authority. It's Greenville, South Carolina. Pat Hewitt, classy gentleman. By the end of last year, was playing about as well as anybody. Played great in New Orleans. Played fantastic darts in New Orleans. I'm trying to remember who he knocked out. He knocked out somebody that averaged I think he knocked out Danny Baggish, and Baggish averaged like in the 90s or something. I mean, great matches. Pat Hewitt is going to play Robbie Phillips, who's like the number 1 ranked player in the South. Because I'm thinking,
which comprises of what?
Well, that's where that's why I paused. I'm like, what's the Mid-Atlantic? Is that the Carolinas and Virginia? And then the South is like Georgia
probably.
and Florida. All right, then Robbie Phillips is a top-ranked player in the Mid-Atlantic, right? I'm not a geography major, man. So anyway, okay, so Robbie Phillips is playing Pat Hewitt. That's another match that you can expect, a lot of triples, high finishes. Pat's one of these guys, very steady, veteran player. Robbie, I would have to say Robbie's a bit more of a streaky player from what I've seen. When Robbie goes bad, he goes pretty bad, and when he goes good, he goes pretty good. So,
do these guys play each other very often?
You would think that they do. I mean, it's kind of funny. I look at them as being kind of like neighbors. Right? Like everybody thinks Ray Carver lives in Chicago. I don't know where anybody got that idea because, I was somebody's Facebooking me. I'm like, dude, the guy's like an hour and a half from me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he lives next door, so. But but they're both in the same state, I think. Actually, they may not be. Actually, I think Robbie's from North Carolina. But again, we're kind of forced, we have to get these first-round matches over with in time
Right.
to have second-round matches where we still have tournaments. So I think for next year, what we're going to probably start doing is that we're going to start our first-round matches for next year perhaps in September or October, so we can get more players involved. Like all the Ohio players, like there's a whole bunch of great players in Ohio. There's 4 of them are going to play in Youngstown as of now. I mean, it's still tentative. But like people like Larry Butler and Gordon Dixon and Nick Lindberg and all these guys from like Southern Ohio, like around Kentucky, Nick Staggy, all these guys. There's no tournament early in the year to have them play. And the idea was that these matches, we're going to have, like the top local people playing at what is supposedly a local tournament, right? Well, Charlotte isn't until April where, Pat and Robbie were supposed to play. So again, it's a work in progress,
right.
But I think it's going to be successful. So we're looking forward to that. Yeah, so that's another great match. I mean, to be honest with you, these matches, I think the locals should be promoting them because, if you're a local dart player, and you go to like a local, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 tournament, and you wander around the dart hall, you'll see a good match here and a good match there, but it's all sort of like a buffet. Where, with these matches now, you're guaranteed your steak dinner when you show up. So if you play the match at the right time and you advertise it to the locals, they could come just for that and then stay for the draw or whatever, or, consume their favorite beverage and have some, French fries and onion rings or what have you. Have a good time, get more people in the dart hall kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I agree.
And these are matches that are totally worth seeing. I mean, to see Pat and Robbie, playing best of 19, 501, that's totally worth watching. And then the third match is in Long Island, New York. A lot of great players around there. So George Timpone, who I don't know if he's from New York or New Jersey, but they're all kind of the same.
Close enough.
Well, it's the New York, New Jersey Open. George Timpone is going to play Todd Bumgarner, the Coast Guard guy who lives on Long Island somewhere. So, unfortunately, there were some dart players we wanted to get in there that couldn't commit, because of work and stuff. That's too bad. So hopefully we'll get some footage from that as well. And, George's been playing great. George is not 20 years old anymore, so he's spotting Todd some age. The only concern I have on that match is Todd's another one of these streaky guys. I've seen Todd play really, really well. He spanked me bad somewhere last year or the year before. I mean, just like, it was cricket, though. Right.
Oh, well, that doesn't count.
Cricket doesn't count. No, he double-corked me on 2 straight diddles and just, like, kept throwing ton 40s, and I could never catch up.
Yeah.
So, no, he played great. Todd's a great player, and George is a great player, but they have two kind of contrasting styles, so it'd be kind of interesting. That'd be an interesting match to kind of, like, just have a seat, and just kind of watch it and see how it unfolds. And again, I have the ability to be a fan, and I think a lot of our players, are way better than other people think they are. Like, we're getting laughed at in Europe, and I'm just like, I don't buy that at all. And to be honest, I watch these women play at Lakeside, and I think we have better women. I think, when Stacy Bromberg, and I hear she's coming back next year, maybe we can get her on the show to say hi. Detta Hedman, and I saw Anastasia Dombrovoslova miss like a bunch of darts at doubles and lose a match. The woman that won scored pretty good toward the end there, and they averaged like pretty good. But if our girls played long format 501, I would put like maybe 5 or 6 of them against anybody they have over in Europe, and I'd take my chances.
Well, it just all goes back to the format.
Well, yeah, again, we have to start playing like, and I'm not talking about, every other tournament, let's play best of 5 instead of best of 3. That doesn't do it for me. That's not going to help.
Right.
We need the real deal. So, so those are the matches that are coming up
this week.
This weekend. And then at the Vegas Open, right now it's shaping up to be Scott Wollaston, Mr. Lucky.
Yeah, Mr.
Lucky is going to play
Ray.
Ray.
Will he have that like etched in his shirt?
I don't know. We should get
Mr.
him one, don't
Lucky?
you think? Or
Yeah.
get like little patches that say Mr. Lucky and like with adhesive and just slap them on the back every time you see
Actually,
him.
wouldn't you just hand out little like bumper stickers to everybody in the crowd, and they could hold up Mr. Lucky every time he's
Can you
going
imagine
to shoot?
if you got a silhouette of that guy and then just put in big black type Mr. Lucky? I mean, there's a logo right there. There's a logo for the guy. See, we're helping. See, we offered to manage him. He didn't take us up on it. Anyway, let me see if I got
wonder
this
why.
right. Yeah, Scott Wollaston's going to play Ray Carver on Friday at
In
Vegas at the Las Vegas Open. But then the Thursday, there's like a benefit blind draw, and Larry Butler is going to play Danny Baggish. I believe that's the plan.
All right.
So those are 1, 2, 3. Those are the next 4 first-round matches coming up in the next couple of weeks. And, of course, we'll have stats,
The next
reports.
5.
Yeah, if you guys want to go on Facebook and go to the Players Challenge Series, there's a match report from the first match between Darren and Mark. And we'll that's going to be where you go to, find the match reports and stuff like that. So hopefully, if you guys like the concept, share out the get us some likes. Mm-hmm. Players Challenge Series. I'll post a link on the Dart Talk Facebook page. If you guys like the concept and you think it's a good idea, by all means, like it and share it with your friends and have them like it, and let's show people that this is a popular endeavor. It's already popular with the players, so now it's a matter of getting it out to the fans and league players and stuff like that, so they have another reason to go to these tournaments. I think ultimately, if we're successful drawing people into the dart hall, then it's win-win, win-win-win for absolutely everyone. And that's kind of where we're looking.
That makes
at.
sense.
That's kind of what we're looking at. You got anything else?
I don't believe so. I think we've
Did we
covered everything.
Well, yeah. Okay. You know what? We'll take a quick break and we'll recap Lakeside real quick, because I did post on Twitter that we were going to talk about whether Stephen Bunting is ready for the PDC.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we'll take a quick break. We'll take
Break.
a quick break and we'll be back for one more segment. Listening to Dart Talk with Steve Pennacchio and Mystery Mark. We'll be right back.
The views and opinions expressed on Dart Talk are those of the hosts. They in no way should be misrepresented, misinterpreted, or made to claim that the universe is against you, your family, your city, or the darting community at large.
Okay, back for the fourth quarter, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. A couple of questions in the chat room. As far as the Players Challenge Series goes, we have not posted all the first-round matches yet because we still want to make sure everyone can commit to them. So, and then there's apparently there's one tournament where I have to reach out to the tournament director and make sure he's okay with this. Most of the players are handling all the coordination with the individual tournaments and stuff like that. So, but it'll be up soon. So keep a watch on that. What was the other thing? What are we here for? What are we talking about?
You
Help me out here.
Lakeside.
Oh, Lakeside.
You had to
Right.
review.
Well, I was
Lakeside.
I was rooting for Alan Norris, and it was funny because the one guy that I would really like to see on the PDC tour was James Wilson. And I looked real briefly. I didn't see him in the Q school, and he lost in the top 8 to Alan Norris. And he looks like Ernst Stavro Blofeld, the original,
Who?
From James Bond.
Oh,
The guy, megalomaniac, conquer the world. He looks like
Yeah.
Donald Pleasance.
okay.
Remember Halloween? Was
Yeah.
he the guy in Halloween?
Yeah.
Bald guy? Yeah. He looks kind of
the
like him.
cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he looks like a cross between him and the
That
one,
was who. That's
hang
the
dog.
character that Dr. Evil was
Yeah.
made from.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Evil. Okay, right. Ernst
Not
Stavro
Donald
Blofeld.
Pleasance, the first guy that you mentioned.
Ernst Stavro Blofeld was
Yes.
played by Donald Pleasance, so they're actually
Okay,
the same
right.
guy. Although Blofeld was later played by other people, but I'm a big
Okay.
James Bond fan. Anyway, I really liked the way he played, and he played so spectacularly well. And then Alan Norris just poured in like triple 20 after triple 20 on this guy and got him in the end. And I was like, that's too bad, because as good as Norris plays, I didn't like his chances against Stephen Bunting. I mean, maybe it was meant to be. Maybe it was Stephen Bunting's year. And Stephen Bunting did play, pretty good and pretty solid all week. But the guys with the highest average was, Norris and James Wilson. It was kind of funny because, do you remember Dennis the Menace? What did Mr. Wilson look like, the next door neighbor? Was he bald? He had glasses.
Oh
I
God,
think.
you
You don't
know,
remember? Okay.
no.
Well, you're not that old, apparently.
I remember the cartoon, but I didn't really pay attention to what.
But here's a guy whose
Mr.
name
Wilson
is
looked like.
his name is Alan Norris. So what do you suppose his nickname is?
I couldn't even begin to guess.
Chuck.
Oh well.
You talk
That's-
about like an absolutely how wasted were you the night somebody talked you into that nickname? You don't look like Chuck Norris unless you're some like karate dude. Why would you want to
Be Chuck Norris.
I every time they said, "Hey, it's Alan Chuck Norris," I was just like, unless that's really his middle name.
Yeah, right.
If that's like his legitimate on his birth certificate, on his passport middle name, then I beg off.
Well, then why would
But
you
it's
call
in
him Alan
quotes on the
Chuck
back.
Norris?
Please.
You would just call him
I
Chuck.
just think that's just like so beyond ridiculous. So Stephen Bunting won, and I'm kind of watching him, and I just could not. It's really annoying to me if you're going to celebrate every single double you hit, where you have to win 7 sets.
Don't
That
they
means-
they always celebrate when they hit the
No,
double.
I mean, it's like the guy's on 262 and you hit a double 4. I'm not sure you really need to fist pump anything.
Well-
I mean, get on with it. I found that annoying because it was every single dart making it look like you had just like thrown a ton 80.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're going to celebrate on everything, then it's all.
But when they
you
throw
kinda
ton
lose it
80s,
to
they'll
me.
celebrate.
Well, yeah, they do. I mean, they kind of like I liked Alan Norris. It was just sort of like, hey, there's another ton 80. Grab his darts, go back. It's not you're going to do like some Michael Van Gerwen pose down on every double you hit, where you have to win 21 legs to win the match, which means I'm going to be watching these pose downs for 2.5 hours.
Well, sure.
No. At some point, you watch. The PDC is going to put in some sort of like, and they probably just talk to the players and say, look, cool it. Right? They do things somewhat informally, whereas you don't have to sign a waiver, right? Like they let
Right,
Peter
that
Wright
makes
go
more
on
sense.
there with pajama pants
Yeah.
because okay, this is your character. This is people like it. Okay, go ahead. We'll let that slide, right? But they're not going to let everyone do that, right? So this whole celebration thing is sort of like, and then you're pointing to people in the audience, and I guarantee you he's probably pointing to an empty chair.
Yeah.
Then he's pointing over there, and then he's pointing
Right.
over there, and it's like, can you really talk to these people?
He has
Can
no
you-
idea who they are.
Don't tell me that you could see somebody sitting like 5 rows back. I mean, it wasn't like the venue for Lakeside didn't
No,
look
they're
to me
pointing
as-
at people that they heard cheer for him, though.
He's pointing to the same person every time he hits a double. I think it's a pose. I just think it's posing, and it's like, okay, you want to turn toward the camera, and I just abbreviate it. Just come up with some like the one guy who did like the little heart thing. Okay, that takes 2 hands. Don't do that. Like the little like one-off little like you raise your
Yeah.
hand, you go grab your dart so everybody can see it's ton 80 that are sitting in the crowd. I like that, and then go back and get ready to throw again, but. I started to think Bunting was doing it on purpose. It was like every leg he won, the other guy's got to wait for him while he does
Right.
his little pose
Yeah.
and gets his dart like he's never hit a 32 before. And we've all hit 32 before. I mean, if everybody did that, it would be the end of the sport. If you're going into your local bar, I freaked everybody out. We're playing like on a Saturday night, at Murphy's, and just a goof off, doubles thing, and some guy that was like a rank beginner and a couple of like experienced league players, and some guy missed 3 darts at 32. I'm sitting on 170, and I'm like, bang, trip 20, bang, trip 20, bang, dead center, double bull. And I'm like, come on. And I started yelling. The bartenders are looking like there's a fist fight. I mean, you can't it doesn't work,
Right.
It doesn't really work. And I'm not sure it was such great viewing to see the same guy over and over. Ooh, I hit a double. Ooh, I hit a
No.
double. It just wasn't that charming to me. And what it does is it diminishes the great shots you hit because you're celebrating on all of them.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, well, now wait a minute. It's like you're going to do the icky shuffle.
No, I remember.
what I mean?
I
I
remember
mean,
like
that
just
is
what you were
sorta-
talking about playing in league. It's like, geez, okay, yeah, you hit a double 16.
But
Big deal.
Yeah, but somebody asked me, what do I think of Bunting on the PDC? And it's kind of funny. It's not like he doesn't have the game to be successful on the PDC. It's a question of how successful would he be. And, I would have to think, because he's a nice guy, he's a bright guy. I talked to him very, very briefly, I think, in Vegas at the Darts Live last September. And it strikes me as a pretty easy mathematical choice. I mean, how much can you win if you're winning the majority of the BDO tournaments versus what's it going to cost you and how much are you likely to win your first year on the PDC as an unseeded player? I mean, I think it's pretty risky for young guys on the BDO to cross over and start playing on the PDC
Okay.
because they're much more he's a dominant player on the like Martin Adams is on the never thought of going to the PDC. Well, okay. There must be a reason for that, and the reason for that is he did the math and he figures he'll make more money playing on the BDO circuit than he will on the PDC circuit. I mean, from what I hear, the PDC circuit's expensive to play on. It's going to cost you 40, 50 grand to play
Just
all
to
these tournaments.
travel around, right?
Well, there's you can win 40 or 50 grand, but I don't know if that puts you high enough on the list versus if you can win 80 grand on the BDO tour and it only costs you 20 grand to play. I mean, the math is pretty simple for a lot of these guys. But 300 people in the Q school, that's insane.
That's a lot.
Well,
That's
because they're
ridiculous.
starting the kind of like another tour for the people that don't get their tour cards. They're going to have a tour for
Oh,
them.
right.
Right? So that like their nationwide tour,
Yeah.
whatever. The old
Yeah,
Golden
exactly.
State tour,
Yeah.
back in California, I played on back
Web.com.
in the day. And, it's kind of funny. I mean, we can mock these guys like the way McDine mocked Van Gerwen for his little like, and it's like, okay, you want to play with adrenaline, you want to get yourself pumped up, that's fine. It just struck me, and I'm almost like Bunting was getting like a little bit. It struck me as being more gamesmanship than it didn't seem sincere to me. How excited can you be hitting another double 16 when you're not really under pressure? I mean, I just was
I
sort
don't
of
know.
like,
He was
I
just
don't
caught up in the moment. Who knows? Crowd's going nuts.
Well, that's fine. And my attitude has always been, because people, every now and then, you're at a blind draw and somebody hits a shot and they beat you and they celebrate and then they come over and they apologize. And I'm like, hey, don't apologize. I mean, it's like genuine emotion. You hit a shot, you're happy about it.
Yeah.
I'm great with that. It's when you start like, trash talking and all this, kind of bad sportsman stuff. I completely
agree with that.
That leads to hard feelings and leads to problems and all that stuff. That's no good. What I saw from Bunting, though, was it seemed to be because he had to fight back, in this match. And he started out like horrible on his doubles.
Mm-hmm.
And, this guy's a good player, this Alan Norris. I like the way he played. Very simple stroke. Big guy, very stable at the line, but smooth, nice hands. And it struck me as almost like he was trying to use that as a way to kind of somehow get in the guy's head or something. And I'm like, I don't think you really need to do that. If you're going to be a professional dart player, hit some ton 80s and hit some big finishes and win the match. That's what gets in people's heads, not whether you pose after you hit a double. I don't think that's going to work against like an experienced player, And maybe this guy's not that experienced. I mean, I don't know. I mean, nobody on the BDO has a lot of stage time because they don't have a lot of stage matches, it seems to me. They don't have a lot of television like the PDC has. I mean, how many times a year is Phil Taylor and Michael Van Gerwen and Van Barneveld? How many times are those guys on TV under the hot lights on the stage? I mean, it's a lot, And for the guys that haven't been on that stage, I mean, you got to get used to it. How do you get used to it if you're only on stage twice a year? I mean, that's
not easy.
It's a steep learning curve.
Yeah.
You build one in your basement and, crank up the
Try to emulate it.
Anyway, so is Stephen Bunting ready for the PDC? I would have to say no. I would have to say he's better off staying on the BDO and being the dominant player for another, I would say, 2 years. I would say give yourself 2 years on the BDO, and if you're still number one in the BDO like 3 years in a row, then your career has plateaued unless you step up, and it is a step up.
Right.
And start playing on the PDC. You know what I mean? In terms of like attracting sponsors,
I would agree with that.
And laying claim to being the top player on the planet and stuff, if you want to be the number one player in the world, you have to leave the BDO. And I don't know anybody that would argue with that. You have to play on the PDC if you want to be world champion.
The board members of the BDO would argue with that.
Yeah, but they're arguing, nobody will listen. I mean, it's sort of like, the senile great-grandfather who, like, is watching a baseball game and all of a sudden says, Philadelphia, they've got it. And you're watching, Boston and Cleveland.
Right.
I mean, it's just sort of like, okay, thanks, Grandpa. Let me get you another iced tea. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just sort of like that's how they all their decisions, that's what it strikes me, as it's just all being done like by, somebody who's not quite with it. I mean, I'm not to make fun of, elderly people since I'm practically there. But anyway, let's wrap it up. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll be back next week, Wednesdays, 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. I think we'll get Ryan Davis on next week. He's the guy that is doing some interesting things in Harrisburg with his league and was the guy kind enough to provide us with the video from the Darren Young Mark Fair match, the first Players Challenge Series match. Like us on Facebook. Check us out. Our old shows are archived on YouTube and on iTunes and on Stitcher.com and on TuneIn.com. If you go to darttalk.us, you can get links to all our stuff. I'll also have a link to the Players Challenge Series up there, I think, very soon. Also, if you have any questions or suggestions, you can email the show. darttalk@gmail.com. I've caught up. I'm getting pretty good at getting back to people and stuff like that. For a while, we were pretty
way
lame.
behind.
Yeah, we were pretty way more than way behind. We actually forgot about some stuff. Anyway, we'll be back next week. We'll have hopefully results from all these tournaments. We'll have Players Challenge Series stuff.
Results. Yep.
More news as news happens. We will bring it to you. Anyway, and we'll wrap up. The Q School next week. We'll do more on a lot more on Q School next week. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. You all take care, and we'll Dart talk to you next week. We'll hang around in the chat for a little while after the show, but it's late, so Mark has to get some sleep. He needs his beauty sleep. Okay, thanks everybody for listening. Okay.